Okay guys, here we go. We are going to do a face, the female face. So we start off with our oval. I am using a mechanical pencil to start off with, and then I will switch over to a 7B super soft for smudging and adding details. Divide this horizontally, divide it vertically, so like a T. So here's your vertical, here's your horizontal. Now take that top section from the middle up. Where's the center? Going ahead and put a little dash line there. From the middle down, where's the center there? And now drag those out. So now you have 3 divisions. The first line is the hairline. Line number 2 is your eye line. And 3, that's your mouth. Okay? The number of combinations of what you can do is really endless. So we'll start off here with our frown just above that eye line and our smile. Move over and do the same on the other side. And now we need to have our mouth. So that frown and that smile. Probably about there. So these are our basic building blocks. We're going to build the shapes in these frowns and smiles. Okay, here we have our dash line that's at a diagonal for the nostril, and we simply frown over and down slightly. We just extend that a tiny little bit, and then we put our comma on the edges for the nostril. So now that we have that, going ahead, and this time we're going to have the bridge of the nose on the left side and then follow that up towards the brow. On the right side, the brow does not touch the bridge of the nose. Okay, so now let's put in our C shape for the center of the eye. And so going ahead and put a second frown for your brow so that you can block in the shape. Okay, so thicker in the center, and however curved or angled you want your brow, totally up to you. I think I'm going to go with that shape there. And then on the side, I'm going to do my curved parenthesis shape to see how wide her face is. So that's the distance from the edges of the eye over to the side of her cheek. Okay, this time around, I'm going to go on ahead and do the bottom of her chin. So how far from the bottom of the lip do you want that chin to be? So now that I have those marks in place, I'm going to just drag this down and give her a nice strong cheekbone, and just bring this in and connect it to the cheek. Bring that at an angle, connect that to the cheek, throw in your neck. So there's so many shapes. That's why I said at the beginning, the possibilities here are truly endless. So here we're going to go straight up. And now we have our basics. So here now for the eye, just above the eye, we have a frown, and that's representing the beginning of the ear. Then at the bottom of your eye, it's just going to be around the nose. So I'm going to make mine slightly higher than the nose. So that's my smile. Now I'm just going to connect, just drag that down. Now the second line is on the inside, on the right here, and that's my frown, and now here's my smile. So we frown and we smile for the second portion of the ear, and then now we just have a little bit of a wavy line in the middle. So that's the shape that we want to have there. Now I'm going to go on ahead and give her a part on the side. So that's my curve, and I'm going to have her have a ponytail, and it'll be pulled behind her ears, and it'll come out on the left side. So the shape, I went up and around, and then here I'm coming in a frown. So now this is going to curve a little bit so that some of her hairs maybe will be loose and free-flowing, but in general, that's a nice pulled back, kind of stylized pony. And then here I have an S shape, and the second S shape is the bottom of the ponytail. So that's our basics. Let's add the smile. So here I am at the nose, adding my smile, and then we frown over on the right, frown over on the left, and the same right underneath it. So we're building that mouth right inside of that smile and frown. Decide where you want that bottom lip to be, and we start off with a diagonal, and then we just connected that with a smile. Now let's go on ahead and add some of that detail. So I'm going to switch over to my soft 7B. Okay, so that soft 7B, I'm going to actually put an envelope under my hand so that I don't smear and smudge the whole page. I'm going to start off filling in these details with these strokes that go over towards the right for her brow, and then over towards the left for the left brow. Again, however thick, however angled, totally up to you. This changes with fashion, and it'll change with your collections because your makeup artist will allow their vision to take place. Back and forth to lower that eye so it's not so open. So we go back and forth, and that gives the feeling of mascara and makeup on that top of the eye. And then now going ahead and smile at those edges, give some lash. So this is not super exaggerated, but she definitely has makeup. At the bottom edge, we just do some shorter, and they frown. Okay, so that's the beginning there. Outer edges, going ahead and emphasize that C shape, and then add little tiny circles on the inside of it for about 1/4 inch. And once you do that, move on to your next eye. So parenthesis shape, like that letter C, and then go back in and add some little circles just for about 1/4 inch. And that gives you the feeling of the depth of our eye. Okay, on the left side here where the bridge of the nose is, we're going to add some shadow. So right here on the left underneath the eyebrow, right there. And I think we'll add a smudge. So going ahead and smudge that in and bring that down. Okay, so that is the left side. I will write on my page dark on the left, light on the right. All right, so now we can continue. We just have a tiny little bit of shadow here with the point of my soft 7B. So just tiny little circles. That gives a shadow under the nose, and that gives a shadow underneath that bottom lip. And I'll just erase the outer edges so that you can see, but you will trace this off onto your other paper. So here is where I had my shadow right there underneath the bottom of that lip there, and just smudge that in. And you can smudge in the bottom of the nose and give a little at the tip of the nose. Now I can take my eraser in the middle of the nose and erase a little circle. So that gives a little tiny bit of a highlight. Now we'll smudge here on the right, just the tiniest bit, and over. It just doesn't touch the nose. And now the left side of her face, because that's the dark side. So that left side and the left side at the hairline. And then down underneath that chin where we would have a cast shadow. And now let's do some hair. So I'm going to turn this to the side. And again, take my pencil. Thumb is back, index finger is forward. And I'm curving over and down, following the shape, always starting from where that part is. And that's going to give me the beginnings of our hair. And I'm doing from the bottom where it's pulled behind her ear, going upward. And just repeat back to that part. And just adding and filling in between. These are about 1 inch long. And remember, we want to have a little bit of a halo. So when I turn this back around, the halo would be about here. So as if she were wearing a crown, that's where the white space is. So bottom coming up, and I'm just pressing on my paper harder on the dark side. Press lighter on the light side. So now I'm doing shorter for depth. So these are about 1 inch long, or 3/4 inch. So not the same as before. And now toward the back. And I'm just extending. I'm not completely coloring in all of this white space, but I do want to make it feel like it's a mass of hair. All right, so there we have some basics for some hair. And we can move on to the other side. So starting from that part, and I'm just curving in the same way that I've drawn my line. So right here, I'm smiling, and as I move up, then I turn to a frown. And then now from the bottom where the hair is pulled behind in a ponytail, behind that ear, and going upward. All right, so we have that. And now I'm just gonna thicken it. So go again on top of where you did it the last time at the part. That's where we're starting. All right, so that gives us the feeling of the depth of some hair. Add a little darkness there. Do the same for your ponytail. So it's coming from behind her head. So I'm just curving downward. And then now the bottom coming up. And going ahead and fill that in so that right there is about our halo. All right, now I'm back to my medium stroke. So this one is a thicker stroke. As you can see, when you lay your pencil on its side, it makes a thicker line. And then when you are holding it, because this is the 7B very soft, it's going to make a very medium size stroke. And if you were to switch back to your mechanical pencil, that would be a very thin stroke. Okay, so we have our details there. I would go back over and just emphasize. So this is darker on the eye and a little bit more exaggerated, and then do your frown right above it for the lid. Same thing here, we'll just emphasize a little bit and then we'll be done. So just darker and maybe a smidge longer, and then the frown, and that gives the feeling of the eyelid. Maybe you might darken a little bit of your brow. And again, any brow type that you choose, thicker, thinner, spiked, whatever it is that you choose, that's fine with me. And maybe you can add a little hoop earring, so a C shape and a backward C. And here as well, C shape and a backward C. That gives a little bit of interest. So I'm going to fill that in. And I'm just filling that in with the same direction as how we drew it. So there we are. If you want to mess up her hair a little bit, I would go back to the mechanical pencil, so you have maybe some loose kind of strands of hair. Going ahead and bring those out. Some can be in her eyes, some longer, some shorter. And there we are. So we have all three of our lines: medium, dark, and light. We pick a dark side, so you can see we've shadowed more here on the left side. The right side is much more light because the light source is on the right. And you can also see that we have hair that feels like it has a part that's uneven, swooped over toward the left side. And then she has a ponytail pulled behind her hair. You can see an ear. You can see she has some earrings. And you can continue with the detail, but this is enough so that you grab your tracing paper and then you start to trace whatever lines you want to keep. All right, that's it, and I will see you next time.